All right, Yoceph, you live.
Praise Yahushua. All right, hallelujah. All right. Hallelujah. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. Praise Yahushua. I'm just gonna say shalom to everybody who's on here. Anybody who might see the video. Just making sure everything is up and running on my end. So hallelujah. So Boker Thub, everybody, to the Mishpachah, to the partners, everybody online, to the family. This Boker, I just wanted to bring something out that Yahuwah had been on my heart. He had put on my heart concerning Amunah, concerning faith in our belief, in our belief system. So Yahuwah, I'm just gonna go ahead and go into a little bit and just kind of bring a couple things out. I don't want to go too deep or too revelatory. Just kind of Yahuwah's been dealing with me about foundational things and about making sure that we understand these foundational things. So of course, I just want to give all esteem to Adonai Yahusha, to Sab Yahuwah Alua, for Yahusha is our master, our creator, our Ab. He is our everything. Praise Yahusha, Hamashiach, Adonai. And of course I give infinite honors to the chief Malakim of our our nation, Malek Musha, Malek Yahusha, and praise Yahusha for the everything that he's established in them, that they have then duplicated in us. And honestly, I was thinking about this yesterday, about how wouldn't be no me. Wouldn't be me being some kind of Moreh or teacher, or even being able to continue in Yahusha if he didn't bring me to these two men, to Malek Musha and Malek Yahusha. So I'm very thankful. And then of course double honors to all the Mushalim, the heads of the 7 tribes, from Anderson to Augusta, and we got, of course, Columbia and the Texas tribes, OKC, everybody. So, and then of course, double honors to Hagabira, Malaka, my mother, somebody she's been a guardian angel to me my whole life. So I praise Yahushua for the influence that she's had on me, and the mercy that Yahuwah has had by allowing me to be a part of her life and allowing her to be a part of mine. So, and then of course, I want to give double honors to Malkiyada and Malka, the wives of the Malakim of this nation of rebirth, and all the work that they do and the influence they do in establishing our culture and the leadership of our families and women's, and all the things that they do as the wives of the chiefs. And also honors to all the wives of the Morim and the Mushalim. So I hope I didn't miss anybody. I just want to make sure that I do give honors where honors are due, to everybody that's involved in this work, of everything that is brought out, whether you be a Moreh or just somebody who's just faithful in the assembly. I praise Yahuwah for all the work that's being done. And also, shout outs to D28 production and all the work that's going on over there. If you haven't already, check out the documentary, the docu-series, Reclaiming the Throne. Life-changing, epic, just the groundbreaking material that has and will continue to change the paradigm and the conversation concerning who we are, um, you know, as a people, literally, intellectually, according to covenant, according to our culture, and you know, what's happened in the past and how we move forward. So I praise Yahuwah for the work that the chiefs have done in bringing forth that work. So, with all that being said, I want to look at faith versus belief. Okay. So, or belief versus faith. So here's the thing about belief and faith. So in Christianity, a lot of times we quoted scriptures like John 3:16. Okay. So John 3:16 says, you know, for Lewis so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believe in him will have everlasting life. So that kind of, we were taught an oversimplified version of that because we believed, our belief system became that all I have to do is believe that Elohim exists, because we understood belief system to mean that I believe in somebody's existence. We understood belief system to be something that's connected to, like, I believe in Santa Claus. I believe in the Easter Bunny. But then one day you don't believe in those things. And therefore, what is belief if it's something as fickle as that, right? So again, so going back to John 3:16, it says, for Lewis so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. That becomes our belief system, that I have to believe in the son. But if I don't know what belief is, then I'm just saying words. You know what I'm saying? For Alua did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. So whoever believes in him is not condemned, and whoever is not condemned, but whoever does not believe is condemned already, because he has believed in the name of because he has not believed in the name of the only son of Alua. So it's just this whole thing that's wrapped up in your belief. So here's the thing. We kind of stop at that point. But if we keep reading, it says in verse 19, and this is the judgment. Okay. This is the judgment. This is where we kind of got hindered in our belief system, because our belief system didn't go to the judgment part. There was something that was halted in what we believed and how we believed. And this is what disrupts our amunah. And this is the judgment. The light has come into the world, and the people loved the darkness rather than the light, because their works were evil. So now we're talking about works. Not just about feelings, emotion, or belief. We're talking about works now. Verse 20, for everyone who does wicked things hates the light. It doesn't say they don't believe the light exists. So now we're not talking about the belief that something is real. For whoever does wicked things hates the light and does not come to the light, lest his works be exposed. So here's the thing. It does wicked works and it does not come to the light. Okay. So that's where we need to examine, because now we're dealing with works, not just your belief in his name or belief in his existence, right? You're not coming to the light. So your belief system is going to determine the works that follow, right? Because if you believed in the light, surely you would come to the light. But what if you believe the light's real, but you choose not to go there? Your belief in that light's not going to save you. Verse 27, it says, but whoever does what is true comes to the light, so it may be clear and seen that his works have been carried out in Elua. So I'm going to skip down to verse 35. And this kind of helps us to see Yehukanan's, because this is, it helps us to see Yehukanan, the immerser's belief system, because now we start talking about Yehukanan, and people start dealing with him about trying to pit him against Yahusha, and this is kind of how he responds. This is how we see Yehukanan's belief system and the fruit of that. It says the Father loves the Son and has given all things into his hand. That's his belief system. You got to believe that. Hasatan believes that. Everybody must believe it. It's a fact, right? 36, whoever believes in the Son has eternal life. So what is that belief he's talking about? Whoever does not obey the Son. So he says, whoever believes in the Son has eternal life, but whoever does not obey the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of Elua remains on him. So this is what got messed up with our belief system. Is we would build it upon verses like John 3:16, which is Thub. It's the Thub verse, and it's true. Yahuwah did love the world. We understand that world isn't what we think it is. Yasharal is a world in itself. A man is a world in himself, a world that has worlds in himself. We know that Yasharal is a man through many generations, and that Yahuwah pulls a man out of a man, a people out of a people. We understand that there are generations that are bound up in a person, and therefore each person in that, they are a world. This is like, we have to look at this stuff Hebraically and put off this Western mindset that has built our belief system to make it what it is today. Because the fact of it is, if our belief system isn't right, if our belief system isn't established in Yahusha, if our belief system isn't firm, then we will never get out of captivity. We'll be stuck forever because of our belief system. And that's how we have been put into captivity, is by having a corrupted belief system. We believed all the promises, as far as our ancestors go, they believed all the promises that were given to them through the patriarchs. And then they acted on that belief. But their belief system was in a lot of ways proven not to be firm because they had to die. They had to die that more pure, a more sure word of prophecy would produce a different belief system that will produce a different amunah, a firmness, okay? So as long as they can corrupt our belief system, they can corrupt our livelihood. And when I say livelihood, I'm speaking to your literal life, your ability to live. Because it's in Yahusha that we live, breathe, and have our being. So if our belief system in Yahusha is corrupted, then we can't live. And if we do live, it's only on their terms. It's only according to what they designed. So that's why I said we associate belief with, I believe in Santa Claus. We associate belief with, I believe in the Easter Bunny. You might associate belief with, I believe somebody's telling me the truth or not. But the reality is that belief is actually connected to something that is coming, okay? So belief and amunah are two different things. So here's the thing. So when you look at it Hebraically, the word belief, let me see if I can pull that up real quick so we can kind of get an understanding for what belief is in Hebrew. Because belief is important. I don't want to make it to seem like I'm diminishing the importance of belief, but it's not complete in itself. And that's what we're seeing in John chapter 3, is that he's talking about whoever believes in Elua, but then he says whoever does not obey the Son. So we're not talking about just belief anymore. Let me see if I could find this word. So we're talking about belief or believing. And this is in, where's it at? In Hebrews, it's the word in Hebrews. In the Hebrew language, belief goes back to the word lakak, which lakak is like a doctrine. There it is. Learning, a teaching. So that's H3948. Lekak. Okay. I said I'm not trying to go super deep and like exhaustive and breaking down these words or whatever, but it's important to understand what we're talking about. A lekak is a teaching, a learning, an instruction, a persuasion, persuasiveness, a teaching. So you go to school and you learn things, you're taught, and that's through you believe what you're taught, right? It becomes your belief system. So here's the thing, your teacher is going to then test it. Your teacher is going to test what you have believed, what you have learned, what you have been instructed with. And then it doesn't matter how much you have received that learning. If you fail the test, then your whole belief system has been corrupted. So I used to have this mindset when I was a kid. And this mindset was that as long as I go to school and I learn these things and I take in what the teachers are, because I really genuinely was interested in a lot of things I learned as a kid. And so my thought process behind it was that as long as I learned it, I didn't have to prove that I understood it. That's what my belief system was. And that was corrupted. That's Western, that's an American mindset that I don't really have to prove my belief. So as long as I believe and understand in this doctrine that I'm being taught at school, that I don't really have to worry about homework. It doesn't matter what I do when I go home now, because I showed up to school and I listened to them, and then I went home and I didn't complete the work. So this is what we do in a walk. We go to the assembly. We get a through word. We listen. We receive the doctrine, the teaching, the instruction, and we believe it. Then we go home and we don't do none of that work. We know that the scripture says, love your brother as yourself. Love Alua with all your heart, mind, soul, and your strength. You go home, you don't got not a single loving word towards your wife, towards your son, towards your daughters, towards your brothers, towards your sisters. You got an attitude problem. You're always trying to finesse somebody out of some money, lying, cheating, stealing. This is what we learned in church. That was our belief system, that we didn't have to prove it. We could just go to church. You can live however you want, show up on church on Sunday, and people be in there crying. I used to see it. And that's really what tripped me out when I came into this walk. And I used to wonder, like, man, how Yahuwah took me when I remember I seen so-and-so in the church. They believed it. They used to be worshiping with belief. So why is it that Yahuwah received me into this covenant and not them? The same reason why I thought I could go to school and believe what I was being taught, but then I thought I could get away with not doing my homework. And then when it comes time for the test, I get a C, D, F. Ultimately, I end up getting a super low grade on the class that I'm not able to progress in it. But I remembered a lot of the things I was taught. That stuff in my mind, it's in my belief. But belief by itself is not going to do anything. It's not just about receiving the doctrine. So here's the step that your belief has to go through. You have to now translate your belief into amunah. Okay? Because without amunah, it's impossible to please him. And this is what Yehukanan was speaking to in chapter 3, where he's saying, those who don't obey the Son. This is why he says that this is the judgment, that the light came. Now it's time to expose your works. It's time to expose the amunah that was produced from your belief system. So Yahuwah had dealt with me about belief versus amunah, because I've been, like these belief and faith, it's like these two things that even hope, like belief, faith, hope. It's like these things that have kind of been interchangeable in how we deal with these things, but they're three different things. Even the word, the Hebrew word for hope, is takua. Takua goes back to waiting. It's almost the same word as makua, which means immersion. So when you're immersed in something, you waiting for something that's coming later. I'm been immersed in Yahusha's name so that when Yahusha comes, I'm going to wait for his coming. I'm not going to defile myself in the meantime. I've been immersed in his name. So now you have the takwa. He's my hope. He's the one that I wait for. It says that when our ancestors went into Babylon, he said, make sure you take all these things with you. Make sure that you're giving sons to daughters for marriage, and you're doing all these things, and you're planting vineyards and doing these things because you're waiting for something. Establish this hope as a part of your belief system so that you might produce amunah for the day of redemption. See, that's the thing. Your belief system is stub as long as you produce something for the day of redemption. Because at the day of redemption, there must be something to be redeemed. I hope this makes sense. The man, Matthew 25, look at the parable of the talents. There was a man, a master showed up, gave out talents. And based on the belief system, it determined what was redeemed in the end. One man's belief system is that I believe in this talent. I believe the master's coming back, but I'm just going to put it in the dirt. I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm not going to do my homework. There's not going to be any works that are produced from my belief system. And so Yahuwah came back, or the master came back, and then judged their belief system based on the amunah that was produced out from it. You guys were supposed to be immersed in my hope. But now when I arrive, when I come back and I see that you've supposed to have been waiting for me, but based on your belief system, your waiting has not produced anything, and therefore you go into weeping and gnashing of teeth. Depart from me, you wicked and slothful servant, is what he said. While the other ones receive rewards. It says that Yahuwah is coming, and his reward is with him. He's not going to reward you for lessons you learned, for PowerPoints that you did. He's going to reward you for the amunah that is produced out of your belief system, that there is something to be redeemed. There should be a token to redeem, a token of redemption. You should have some substance that came from your belief system. So Yahuwah began to deal with me about, like, what does this look like? Because I'm telling you, I'm reading through these scriptures. And so I'm looking at Hebrews chapter 11. And it's talking about, faith is the substance. We know faith is amunah, right? So faith, or amunah, is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Man, that's one of the craziest statements I ever seen. It's stuff like that. Like, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was the Lua, and the Word was with the Lua, and all this. It's certain things in the scripture I think we just blow past. Because I'm saying this because that's what I used to do. I used to read these things and I'm like, oh yeah, I understand what he's saying. I don't. I had to go back to this recently, and I was like, man, what are we talking about right now? Because we're talking about people who believe and people who have faith. So I'm what's the difference between two? Because the scriptures is talking about two different words. So but they're connected to the same thing. So I'm trying to figure out what is belief, because we already know what amunah is. So then I had to go look at what belief is, lakat, this doctrine. Then I have to see like how they are connected. How are the two things related? Okay. So before we look at Hebrews chapter 11, I want to check out chapter 10. So Hebrews chapter 10. I pray that I'm not losing anybody out here and moving too fast. Sometimes I just get to going. And I just want to be mindful. Praise Yahushua. So, all right. So Hebrews chapter 10. I'm going to look at verse 38. Okay. Nah. Yeah, we're gonna go to verse. I'm gonna start at 36. Okay. So 36 says, "For you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the will of Alua, you may receive what is promised." So again, that goes back to what we were reading in John chapter 3, where it says that this is the judgment. The light has come into the world. So it said, so right here it's saying that you can have endurance so that when you have done the will of Alua, you may receive what is promised. So in John chapter 3, it's saying that people didn't want the light to expose their works, what they have done, or rather what they have not done. Just like me, I didn't do my homework when I was at school. I didn't want my teacher to look at my homework. Every time I went to school and they didn't check my homework, I was through. I had endurance as long as they didn't check my work. My belief system was straight as long as they didn't check my work. Okay. For you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the will of Alua, you may receive what is promised. Verse 37, for yet a little while, and the coming one will come and will not delay. That's why I said, when you even look at hope, that word goes back to waiting, takuah. And so the root of that is kuah. So tau is like the mark of the waiting. That's your hope. That you know that in a little while, the coming one will come and will not delay. But it says in verse 38, listen, but the righteous shall live by belief. No, it says the righteous shall live by doctrines and teachings and PowerPoints. Nah, it says, but the righteous shall live by faith or amunah. And listen, if he shrinks back, my nefesh has no pleasure in him. Okay, listen, this is Yahuwah speaking. But my righteous one shall live by amunah, and if he shrinks back, my nefesh has no pleasure in him. So go back to John chapter 3, where he says that this is the judgment. Verse 19, and this is the judgment, that the light has come into the world, and people love darkness rather than light, because their works were evil. For everyone who does wicked things hates the light and does not come to the light. He shrinks back, lest his works be exposed. But it says that whoever, it says, but whoever the people, my bad, 21, but whoever does what is true and comes to the light, somebody else gonna press into it because their belief system is gonna produce some firmness, amunah, so that it may be clearly seen that the works have been carried out in Alua. So going back to Hebrews chapter 10, that's what I'm saying. Like when we look at Hebrews 11 for faith is the substance of things unseen and the evidence of things that are, hoped for, all these things. It's like, man, what are we even talking about? Because in verse 37 and 38 of the previous chapter, we're seeing that there's some stakes here. It's not this flowery, fluffy like concept that's not tangible. It's not something that you're not going to be judged by. That's why it's important to look at it. So verse 37 in Hebrews chapter 10 again, for yet in a little while, and the coming one will come and will not delay, but my righteous shall live by faith. And if he shrinks back, my soul has no pleasure in him. But we are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but of those who have amunah and preserve their soul. Hebrews 11, verse 1. Now faith or amunah is the assurance of things that are hoped for, okay? So because your belief system is going to generate some kind of a hope, something you're waiting for. Now, produced from that is going to come this amunah. How do I know my hope is assured? Because of my amunah. Because the righteous shall live by amunah. For the conviction of things not seen. So, I haven't seen what is to come, but I hope that it's truly coming. I have hope that it's coming. And that's the other thing. Hope, we didn't have hope messed up. We'd be like, yeah, I hope it happens. That don't really mean that I believe it. That don't really mean that I'm going to do something based on that hope. That's the Western mindset of hope. But in here, we see that hope should produce something physical. I don't see it, but I hope it's going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Going back to Matthew 25, the parable of the talents. Somebody there had hope. I'm waiting for the master to come back. So because that's my hope, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take this to the money changers. I'm going to go invest in something. I'm going to produce something because I know when he comes back, he's going to check on my works. He's going to come back and his reward is going to be with him. This is the difference between belief and faith. Belief is just something that's in your mind. But that belief's not real unless it produces some faith. So Yahuwah gave me this image, this way of looking at it. So Yahuwah began to deal with me about faith versus belief. And he was saying that belief is like a tree's leaves. When a tree is starting to produce leaves, you know that it's alive. You know that there's life in that tree. You know that it's exposed to the water. The leaves are green and lush. You know that it's connected to something that's stewed. But when Yahusha came up to the fig tree looking for figs, and there were only leaves, the tuba of those leaves no longer held any weight. Just like, even though I showed up to class and learned and was interested in all those things that my teachers were teaching me in high school, the tuba of me learning that stuff in high school held no weight when I didn't do my homework. Even if I passed all the tests, because a lot of people will pass tests, complete feats of strength, but then they didn't do any homework. So at the end of everything, all of a sudden, there was no firmness to my belief system. I think about, Aruka and doing the work of being healed. That's the stuff that we got to take personally. And nobody, you can show up to the assembly, whatever assembly you're at. You can show up to whatever household you're a part of, and receive counseling from whoever is a father to you, a mother to you, a counselor, a teacher. You can do that all day. But if you don't go home and do the homework, if you don't work on healing, here's the thing about the word aruka. Aruka comes from the word arak, which means a long time. If you can't put any time towards your healing, then you will not be healed. If you are not able to commit a determination, a firm determination towards what you say you want, right? And that's another thing. There's a difference between something you want and something you just like. There's something that Chief Yahushua was talking about recently. A lot of people say they want something, but really they don't want it because they would do the works to produce it. But rather they like it. I might see a Mustang down the street. I like that. I can't say I want one, because if I want one, guess what? It's going to be a certain hope. It's going to be a certain faith that's produced out of that. Because people who want a Mustang, they're going to live by faith. They're going to do the works associated with getting them a Mustang. So, faith is fruit. Okay? Faithfulness is a fruit of the Ruach. Belief is the leaves on the tree. Get it? Be leaf. It's like it's a play on words, right? So be leaf. It's just a leaf on a tree. There's the leaves on the tree is the belief. But from that belief, Yahusha is going to appear now, because those who are waiting for him, they're expecting him to appear and not delay. Then he's going to judge their works. He's going to judge the fruits on that tree now. Now, if he comes and there's no fruit to go with that belief system, then that belief system is corrupt and that tree is not through for anything. If a tree is through, let its fruit also be through, not its leaves. The leaves it's a thub indicator. It's a thub start. It shows that it's connected. But this is why it even says in Hebrews 6, it says a lot of people have tasted of his thubah and produced nothing but thorns and thistles. They might have had some green leaves, but no fruit came from it. And there's nothing for them except they're near to be burned. So let's think about this. In this time where Yahusha might visit you by his Ruach, by his messenger, by an authority figure, somebody who you honor and respect, whatever the case might be, Yahusha is going to appear, and then he's going to appear and expose something in you. He's going to require something from you. But if you shrink back from that exposure, shrink back from that which he requires and that which he is asked and that he desires from you, he says that his soul finds no pleasure in you. Okay? So, going back to Hebrews chapter 11 now. So now let's read this again. Now, Amunah is the assurance or the conviction, Amunah is the assurance of things hoped for, right? So now you got the faith and the hope and the conviction of things not seen. So certain things not going to be seen, but your faith is going to manifest in your works based on something that you haven't seen yet. Blessed is those who believe and have not seen, right? For by it, people of old received their commendation. By Amunah, we understand that the universe was created by the word of Eluah, so that what is seen is not made out of things that are visible. So here's the thing. When we're talking about this belief system, we didn't say by belief we understand the universe was created. He's saying by Amunah. So he's saying that there are things that are going to be produced out of us, certain works that we do because we know that Yahuwah, all he got to do is say a word and it's going to be. And if I'm connected to Yahuwah's word, then that means that there are no limitations on me. If Yahuwah has connected me to his scribal work, if he has made me uh a manifestation of a promise that he promised to somebody else, and that's my belief system, then I'm gonna do things differently. I'm gonna live differently. I'm not gonna live in fear, because you can't have amunah and fear if that's what your belief system is based on. Unless your belief system is based in fear, then you will produce fruit of fear. Okay, but he didn't give us a ruach of fear. So if that's the fruit that you're producing, that means your belief system is based in him. I'm sorry, your belief system is based in fear, in a different ruach. It's not based in him, right? So it says, so we understand, and it's proved in our amunah, that we know that the universe was created by the word of Alua. So that's what we operate from. So here's the thing, verse 6, it says, without amunah, it is what? Impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to Alua must believe that he exists. That's the first part. And that he rewards those who seek him. So here's the thing. So, and this is why, again, like I've been looking at this stuff and I'm like, man, okay, I need to make sure I understand this, because this stuff is heavy. So I need to be able to explain it. What if I need to explain this to my kids? Because people is getting received or cut off by how they understand amunah versus lekak, how they understand faith versus belief. So it says in verse 7, by amunah, Noah being warned that by Alua concerning the events that are yet unseen. So Yahuwah gave him a word, but Noah had amunah that Alua made everything, created this universe. So it said, by amunah, Noah, having been warned, having received a word and having belief in that word, in reverent fear, constructed an ark. And that's where Yahuwah started dealing with me about what amunah truly is. It's going to be an action. Because he believed what Yahuwah said, so how do you know he believed? It'd be one thing if Noah was like, man, Yahuwah gave me this fire word, it's going to rain, it's never rained before. And then he goes and takes a nap. He might wake up the next day, tell somebody else about it. Yeah, he told me to build an ark, man. This thing crazy. I think it's going to rain one of these days. He didn't say when, but I got this hope. Is his hope real, though, if it doesn't ever translate to faith? If it doesn't translate to firmness? So, you know that faith in Hebrew, the word is amunah, right? H530. The root of it is aman or amun, which means firm. Now it's something I could touch, something I can measure. This is why you took tests. This is why you had homework in school, because I'm not trying to judge if you believe what I speak as a teacher. I'm trying to see if there's some firmness to it. Can I touch your belief? Yahuwah gave a word to Noah. And then Yahuwah said, all right, Noah, I need to touch your belief now. Where's the ark at? What have you built for me? Dawood had received shalom on all sides from all his enemies. And then he said, man, what can I produce for Yahuwah? Can I build Yahuwah a house, something he can touch? Yahuwah said, nobody never had a belief system like that to produce that kind of amunah. I have to duplicate a people based on that type of amunah. I'm going to build you into a house. I'm going to build you into a people that I can touch, that I can measure, a people with firmness. He said in verse 7, by amunah, Noah being warned by Alua concerning the events unseen, in reverent fear constructed the ark for saving his household. By this he condemned the world because and became an heir of righteousness that comes by amunah. By amunah, Abraham obeyed. By amunah, Abraham obeyed. And we could just stop right there. Amunah is going to be your obedience. You can say you believe me all day, but if you can't obey me, then I can't touch your belief system. I have a whole bunch of kids. They can say that I'm their father. They can say that they believe in me and all this stuff. But if I give them a word and they don't receive it, I can't touch that. There's no amunah there. There's no firmness to their words. Yahusha said that, he said that my sheep know my voice and they will not follow another. You're going to be able to touch their belief system. It's going to be firm in my sheep. My sheep are different. So listen, it says, Abraham by faith obeyed, period. When he was called to go out of a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. And he went out not knowing where he was going. He didn't need all the answers. He didn't need to know the future. He had hope. He believed Yahuwah in what he said. He received the teaching, the word, the learning, the doctrine. Then he had, as Ma'at Moreh Malu would say, he has expectancy. That's his hope. That's his takuah. He has something that he's waiting on now. Okay, Yahuwah said, get up and leave. All right, I'm going to obey that because I expect that when I leave, he's going to take me somewhere. So listen. By Amunah, he went to live in a land of promise, a foreign land, living in tents with Yitzhak and Jacob, heirs with him of the same promise. For looking forward to a city that has foundations, whose designer and builder is Alua. So listen, this is why I say, if our belief system is not right, we're not getting out of captivity. We're not. Because your belief system is going to produce some kind of a firmness or lack of firmness. That's why I said, like, people believe in Santa Claus. But you can poke right through that belief system and be like, well, if you just wake up early enough, you'll see your mom and your dad lying to you. People say they believe in the Easter Bunny, all this stuff, right? That's the foundation of the Western thinking that we receive. And then we take that same belief system and we try to translate it into this walk. Think that we don't have to do our homework. Because that's what we've been taught. That's the culture that we grew up in. That belief doesn't really have to produce anything after it. It can just be a pretty tree with a lot of leaves. But Yahusha appears and he says, I need something I could touch. My nefesh desires something to touch. It says that Yahusha's soul desired fruit from that tree. It wasn't there, so he cursed it. Search through all the leaves, all this belief, all this teaching, all this doctrine, all this stuff that you done received in the assembly. Now he's like, all right, so where's the amunah behind it? Where's the ark that got built for me? Where's the material that's been gathered to build a house for me? Where's the man who left father and mother and son and wife and all these different things to follow me in the rebirth? Where's that person at? Where is the fruit that's been produced from the belief system? And now here's the thing. This is why we're going through this list of people in Hebrews 11, because that belief is going, that amunah that's produced is going to look different for each person, because each person got different circumstances. So for Noah, it was building the ark. For Abraham, it was getting up and leaving. For Sarah, it was continuing to be, to do the things that produce a child. Because that's what it says next. It says, by amunah, Sarah herself received power to conceive. Here's the thing. Sarah's belief system is what hindered their conception of Isaac. She didn't really believe it. She didn't really hope for it. So what was produced out of that corrupted belief system was that she gonna get Hagar to try to apply her logic, her understanding, her reasoning, her belief system from her previous way Because she don't really believe that Alua created the universe by the word of his mouth and all that stuff at that point in time. So it was produced when she went, the evidence of what she believed was produced when she went and grabbed Hagar and said, Abraham, marry her, lie with her, have a child with her. Then Yahuwah had to come back and correct her belief system that there would be a firmness produced out of it. This is what the scripture's trying to tell us, because they wasn't going to get out of that situation until the belief system was correct. That's why the Shaul was saying here that it was by Amunah. Sarah herself received the power to conceive. Abraham, look, we know as a man, you can be 200 years old. You're going to make a son. You're going to conceive. That's just, we know how that works biologically. But Sarah herself had to receive the power. Even when she was at the age, since she considered him faithful who had promised. So the one who promised was Alua. She recognized that Alua actually did create the universe by the word of his mouth. Now everything she's touching, she's like, oh, this is the manifestation of Yahuwah's word. Let me stop playing. When he gave me a word, let me produce something from that. Let me adjust my belief system that there might be fruit of Amunah birthed out of it. It says in verse 12, for therefore from one man and from from one man and him as Thuba's dad were born descendants. As many as the stars of the Shamaim, as many as the innumerable grains of the sand by the seashore. It's talking about Yitzhak. All these died in Amunah, not having received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on earth. So this is where Shaul was saying that their Amunah and their belief system was not even based on something that they received. It's based on something that we would receive. They look forward to they had a different type of hope, and they proved it in their work. They proved what they believed because Yahuwah gave them a word concerning their descendants. Yahuwah gave Yitzhak a word concerning his descendants. He gave Yaakov a word concerning his descendants. So here's the thing about Yaakov. So Yaakov, there's the whole thing with Isaac, right? There's the whole thing with, let me see if I can go to that real quick. I don't want to spend, because I don't know, I feel like it's been close to an hour. I don't want to be on here too long because we got stuff to do. So we're probably just gonna finish with Yaakov. So listen, Genesis 26. This is dealing with Yitzhak. Okay. So listen, we're gonna go through this. Now there was a famine in the land. This is verse 1. Besides the former famine that was in the days of Abraham. So Yahuwah had tested Abraham's belief system by giving him work to do to produce Amunah, to see if he believed what he said. Okay. So Abraham had to go through famines, he had to go through trials, all these different things, receive circumcision, all these different things based on his Amunah and his belief, right? And Yitzhak went to Gerar to Abimelech, king of the Philistines. So Yitzhak now has to be proved because he's been taught by Abraham. He's seen this stuff. He received the lekak, the doctrine, but it hasn't been proven in him yet. Not all the way, okay? So it says, Yahuwah appeared to him and said, go down to Mitzrayim. Do not go down to Mitzrayim and dwell in the land, which I shall tell you. So then he goes down to the land of the Philistines, right? So I'm not going to go through all the verses, but this is where he goes down to a series of wells. Abraham had constructed a bunch of wells in the land of the Philistines and even in Beersheba, where they call it Beersheba because it means basically the well of the promise. So now we're going we're going through this process with Isaac to where he goes down to the land of Philistines. He has his belief system tested. He doesn't believe that Yahuwah is going to protect him at one point. And so then he talks about Rivka being his sister, which we know that she was not his sister. That was his wife. And then they had ended up having to repent of that, basically, where Abimelech found out because it was cursed based on Abimelech trying to take Rivka from him. Okay, so he ends up, Yahuwah ends up blessing him and all these things, right? So if we skip down to, we're still in Genesis 26. So he ends up going around from well to well, having to trust and have hope that Yahuwah is going to bring them to a through place as he's traveling with his family. At this point, and this is what's important to read this in context, right? I know I'm going kind of fast, and I hope it's not too confusing. When we're reading about this, Genesis 26, again, Yahuwah's dealing with Isaac. Isaac then already had Jacob and Esau, because that's in Genesis like 25. Yeah. So at this point, he done already had Jacob and Esau. So in the midst of these trials that he's going through, Jacob and Esau are seeing it. They're seeing and learning the doctrine. They're seeing and learning the teaching, okay? Their belief system is being constructed by what they see growing up in this house, okay? So they're seeing their father dig wells and not produce anything out of it, do well for a while, be blessed, and then somebody comes and takes it, and then they got to move, and all these, they're seeing this stuff. And then, so now if we skip down in chapter 26 to verse 28, you see now some resolution to this whole thing with the wells, okay? And then we're going to see how many years it's been since this whole thing started. Verse 28 says, they say, we see plainly that Yahuwah has been with you. And this is Abimelech and all these people who were trying to put Yitzhak and his family out. Now they've returned to him to try to like clean some stuff up. They said, we see plainly that Yahuwah has been with you. So we said, let there be sworn a covenant between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, just as we have not touched you and have done nothing to you but through, and have sent you away in shalom. You are now the blessed of Yahuwah. Okay, so he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. In the morning they rose early and exchanged oaths. And Yitzhak sent them on their way, and they departed from there in shalom. That same day, listen, and this is, I'm telling you, this is important. That same day, because Yahuwah deals with us this way, and yet our belief system doesn't reflect it. Yahuwah, and we see a similar thing happen with Isaac. It said that same day, Yitzhak's servants came and told him about the well that they had dug and said, we found water. He called it Sheba. Therefore, the name of that city is Beersheba to this day, Beersheba. Listen, when Esau was 40 years old, he took Judith, the daughter of Beri the Hittite, to be his wife, and Basemeth, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and they made life bitter for Isaac and Rebekah. So this is why it's important to read this in context, because now we see that we're looking at something that's happened over 40 years. Esau and Jacob, of course, they're being twins. It's been 40 years they've been looking at this testimony. They've been looking at this doctrine that came about through the testimony of their parents. And there's promises based on who they marry and who they don't marry. Okay? But they see that this wasn't produced in the firmness of their son, Esau. So now they're grieved because his belief system's messed up. Made life bitter for them. But if they have fully believed in what Yahuwah had promised them, then they wouldn't let his corrupted belief system mess them up, right? So then now you go to chapter 27. Yitzhak was old, his eyes were now dim. Okay, Yahuwah showed you that he drew water out of that well that wasn't no water coming out of. And from that, he should have established some firmness in his belief system. So if Yahuwah, because Yahuwah says that blessed is he who believes, and more blessed is he who believes and has not seen, right? But what about when you believe and you've seen? Your amunah should be through the roof. So Yahuwah, he'll show you something. Your belief system will not produce the amunah from what he's shown you. Okay. So then he's going to stop showing you stuff, right? And that's what we see with Isaac. His eyes start going dim. And then he starts trying to bless Esau. When we know from chapter 25, the promise is supposed to go to Yaakov. The blessing is supposed to go to Yaakov. But he's now going outside of what his belief system was supposed to be. Okay. So we know how it goes, right? There's the whole thing, Esau goes out to hunt to make his dad a meal. And this shows you even Esau and Yaakov's belief system, because they believe for real. They really believe that if their father gave them a word, that thing was going to be binding. Their belief system, that's one thing that we see. It was true amunah in how they received a word from their father. Because they knew that once he gave those blessings out, once he gave them curses out, it was done. To the point where when Esau realized that Yaakov received the blessing, he wept bitterly. He wanted to kill that man because their belief system was based on something. That's what I'm saying. Our belief system is a little different. Our stuff is based on Santa Claus and Easter Bunny. Their stuff was based off of some real life stuff. So going back to Yaakov. So now we know Yaakov ends up from that place. He has to, Esau's trying to kill him. So he leaves and Yahuwah deals with him. And he has to go to marry. He has to go to Laban's house where he finds Rachel and Leah. Okay. So I know we're all a bunch of Bible scholars and we know all this stuff, right? So I'm going to skip down to Genesis 28. Verse 10. So it says, Yaakov left Beersheba and went towards Haran, and he came to a certain place and stayed there a night. And the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of the place, he put it under his head. He laid down and went to sleep. And he dreamed and beheld there was a ladder set upon the earth. At the top of the Shamaim it reached, and behold, the Malachim of Elul were ascending and descending upon it. And behold, Yahuwah stood above it and said, I am Yahuwah, Elul of Abraham, your father, and Yitzhak, your father. The land on which you lie, I will give to you and your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and the south. And in it your offspring shall, and in your offspring shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Behold, I am with you, and I will keep you wherever you go. He's trying to build up his belief system. Behold, I am with you, and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. So here's the thing. He promised that he was going to make his descendants as numerous as the dust of the earth and all this stuff. He never saw that. So that means he has to believe that Yahuwah is still with him after he dies to accomplish this. Now his sons is plentiful as the dust of the earth. We didn't been sent everywhere. Now it's time for us to receive a promise. That's what our belief system got to be built on. But we don't really believe these scriptures. We don't really believe that Yahuwah formed a world by his word. So listen, it says, then Yaakov awoke from his sleep and said, surely Yahuwah is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of Elul, Bat Elul. And this is the gate of the Shamaim. So early in the morning, Yaakov took a stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar and poured on it oil on the top of it. And he called the name of that place Batal, or Bethel, as we pronounce it. Batal in Hebrew. Bet all. Okay. He says, but the name of that city was Luz at first, right? So listen, from his belief system, based on what Yahuwah told him, based on the teaching that he received at that moment, that's what established him going 14 years working to get Rachel. That's what established him going another, 7 or so years getting your wages changed and dealing with this nonsense at Laban's house. That's what established his endurance, his hope, his amunah was based on his belief. He didn't receive that word and then was just like, man, forget this. I'm going to go marry a Hittite woman too. No. He received that word and said, all right, so now from this point forward, all my work is going to be towards establishing what Yahuwah told me, because I believe that he's really going to do it. And it's going to be proved and manifest in my amunah, in the firmness. Yahuwah's going to have to touch my belief system. Okay. So here's how we know that happened. So we go down to chapter, I think it's 32. So if we go down to Genesis chapter 32, boom, what verse we at? And I think it is verse 22. So now Jacob is leaving the captivity, right? We're going to look at verse 9 first. So now Jacob has been at Laban's house 20 years or so, right? Now he got, based off of his belief system, he's now generated amunah. He's got 12 sons. He's got all these sons that was born out of this belief system. So now he has fruit to produce out of this tree. Okay. So now he's going to meet Esau on his way back. But he's got to remember the word, the teaching, the doctrine that was given him at Baal. Okay. But the thing is, Esau is contradictory to that word because Esau want to kill him. So listen, it's time for us to leave captivity, right? We received a word at the house of Elua. But Esau is right there waiting for us to stop us. So what's our amunah going to be in what we know about Esau or in the word that Elua gave us at his house? Okay, this is how we got to think about this. Your belief versus your amunah. So it says in verse 9, and Jacob said, O Elua of my father Abraham, O Elua of my father Yitzhak, O Yahuwah, who said to me, return to your country and to your kindred, that I might do thub to you. I'm not worthy of the least of all the deeds of the steadfast love and the faithfulness that you have shown your servant. For with only my staff I crossed over to this Jordan, and now I have become two camps. He said, I'm not going to act like you didn't produce all this out of me. You didn't establish your faithfulness in me. So much fruit has been produced from the word that you deposited in me the first time. I came over here one way and I came back another way. Now I got to look at my testimony. And he says, please deliver me from the hand of my brother and from the hand of Esau, for I fear him that he may come and attack me, the mothers with the children. This man threatens to take away everything that I have done in amunah. But this is what he says here, verse 12. But you said, listen, Esau gonna do what he do. But listen, he said, but you said, I will surely do you thub, and make your offspring as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered in a multitude. Here's the issue. Yaakov didn't have a plethora of scriptures and Bible scholars and theologians to build his belief system. He had one word he received at Bethel. This is what I'm saying. Our belief system and their belief system was different. And we know it's different because it's a different Amunah produced out of it. This is why they get mentioned in Hebrews 11. Because even back in the day when they wrote Hebrews 11, they had a different Amunah than us. But they was like, look, we need to get back to what Yaakov was talking about. We get back to what Abraham was talking about, what Sarah was talking about, that she would produce children, that Yaakov would be 60 some years old, going to Laban's house and come out with not only 12 sons, 4 wives, but he said 2 camps. Because if you know, of course, we're not going to go through all that, but we know that he became rich in Laban's house. It all goes back to how he believed the lekak. It all goes back to his belief system. He said, I believed it when you told me. When you told me that you was going to make me a great multitude and all this stuff, well, guess what? I'm bringing forth something that you could touch. I came over with my staff, and now I'm coming over 2 camps. Please touch that. Because I see that Esau, last time I seen him, he wanted to kill me. But what you said is, I will surely do you thub and make your offspring as numerable as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for his multitude. So guess what? I'm going to stay here all night. And from what he had with him, he took as a present to his brother. He said, because I got Amunah and what you said, because I have a hope in that belief system that you gave me, I'm going to go ahead and stay here. I'm not about to run away. Because you told me to return back to my homeland at a specific time. You told me that after 400 years, you're going to come and judge this nation. So you know what I'm going to do? Everything I do is going to be built on that belief system. Because I was a sinner. I was still in sexual immorality and doing drugs and all that stuff. And now look at me. I ain't doing none of that stuff. So guess what? My belief system has to be firm now. It's got to be firmly based off of what you told me. That's got to manifest in my Amunah, something you can touch now. That's proof that I really do hope for your coming and for the fulfillment of your promise. So listen, going down to verse 22, that same night, he arose to took his wives and his 2 female servants and his 11 children and crossed the ford of the Yabak. He took them and sent them across, and Yaakov was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the daybreak. When the man saw he did not prevail against Yaakov, he touched his hip socket, and Yaakov's hip was put out of joint, and he wrestled with him, and the man said, let me go, for the day is broken. But Yaakov said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. And he said to him, what is your name? And he said, Yaakov. And then he said, your name shall no longer be Yaakov, but Yasserah, for you have striven with Eluah and with men and prevailed. And Yaakov asked him, please tell me your name. He said, why is it that you ask my name? And there he blessed him. And Yaakov called the name of that place Panuel, saying, for I have seen Eluah face to face, yet my life has been delivered. The sun arose on him, and he passed Panuel, limping because of his hip. Okay? So, Yahuwah came down and touched his Amunah. He's going to press on it now. He's going to see if it's firm. He's going to send a man to press on it. He's going to send an oppressor. He's going to send somebody to torment you. He's going to send, even what Ayob, he sent Hasatan to torment that man. But then at the end of it, Yahuwah came down and pressed on his Amunah to see how real it was. And this is why it says our ancestors were commended because of their Amunah. Here's the other part of your belief system. You have to believe that that's your forefather. You have to believe that that's in your genetics, that that's really in your body. That has to be a part of your belief system. that this really happened. And if you believe that that really happened, then you will go and produce something in Amunah for Yahuwah. This is how our belief system is established. This is how we understand belief versus Amunah. Belief is just going to be, it's going to be real through to be like, yeah, I received this word. I learned it. Yeah, okay. But now you got to check back up on it a year later and say, all right, what have I produced now from that belief system? All that stuff that I learned last year was a lot of words that came out after Pesach, a lot of teaching, a lot of doctrine. What have I produced from that doctrine? Have I produced any fruit of Amunah from the teaching I received from my shepherds? This is why we have to look at this in this time that we're in right now. Because it says, and without Amunah, it's impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to Yahuwah must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seeks him. That's what Yaakov believed. But the thing is it's not going to be just saying I believe it. You're going to have to prove your work. You're going to have to show up with your homework done. You're going to have to show up ready for a test. You might have done all your homework and then Yahuwah's like, all right, well, now I'm going to give you a test and we're going to see how this thing work out. But if our belief system is Western and American, then it's always there's no proof to it. Because Western belief system doesn't require proof. It doesn't require anything that's true and firm. That's why Yahushua always saying, truly, truly, I say to you. He's trying to tell you, my belief system that I'm trying to impart into you is different than what you received. They didn't receive stuff from the Pharisees and the Sadducees. The Sadducees don't even believe in a resurrection. Their belief system already corrupted. This is why when they asked them about the woman having the different husbands and what's going to happen in the afterlife, what's going to happen in the next life is what they said to him. Yahushua said, man, y'all don't know the scriptures, nor do you know the power of Yahuwah. Then he goes on to explain to him that Yahuwah is not the Yahuwah of the dead, but the living. Isn't he the Yahuwah of Abraham? Yahushua kept going back to the belief system of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, the belief system of Musha, the belief system of Dawood, the belief system of Eliyahu. Because there's something you could touch from their belief. Their belief produced something that you could put your hand on, something that they were standing on even to that day. Meanwhile, you got somebody else around you talking about there ain't no resurrection. All right, cool. But Yahushua said, truly, truly, I say to you, this is the firmness I'm trying to put in you. If you can receive this word, then I'm going to come back looking for something produced from that word. Okay, so we know Yahushua came to the fig tree. He seen there was a whole lot of leaves, a whole lot of belief. Okay, there should be some amunah now produced from it. There should be some fruit now present on this tree. Something firmness that I can grab a hold of, sustain somebody with. So I'm gonna read Isaiah 50, and then I'm just gonna shut it down right there, because this is what it looks like when your belief system translates into Amunah. Thus says Yahuwah, where's your mother's? Well, I'm sorry, hold up. Is that it? Yeah. So I'm gonna start. Yeah. So thus says Yahuwah, where is your mother's certificate of divorce with which I sent her away? Or which of my creditors is it to whom I have sold you? Behold, for your iniquities you were sold, for your transgressions of your mothers you were sent away. Why then, why when I came, was there no man? Why when I called, no one answered? Is my hand shortened that it cannot redeem? Or have I no power to deliver? Behold, my rebuke, I dry up the seas. I make the rivers a desert. The fish stink for lack of water and die of thirst. I clothe the Shamaim with blackness. I make sackcloth their covering. So listen, this is an establishment of the belief system that you, because remember it said that Noach believed Yahuwah, and with fear and reverence, he acted in Amunah. Okay. Abraham believed Yahuwah and obeyed. Okay, so that's the belief system has to be established first in the fear and reverence. That's what we're talking about, what he's already done. So now your belief system should now produce something based off of what you'd already seen. Verse 4, the Adonai, Yahuwah, has given me a tongue of those who are taught, that I may know how to sustain with a word him who is weary. Morning by morning, he awakens my ear to hear those who are taught. O Adonai, Yahuwah has opened my ear, and I was not rebellious. I turned not backwards. Remember, it said that we are not of those who shrink back at his appearing, because he says that for those who shrink back, who are fearful, his soul takes no pleasure in them. I was not rebellious when he opened my ear. I turned not backward. I gave my back to those who strike. So now he's like, the writer saying, now I got to give you some evidence, something you could touch to prove my belief system. Because I'm really afraid of Yahuwah. Okay. I believe that he's going to do what he said he's going to do. I have reverence for Yahuwah. The ruach of the fear of Yahuwah is upon me. So you know what? When he called me, I was not rebellious. I did not turn back. Again, we're not doing this out of terror, but we're doing this out of reverence because we really believe he is who he says he is. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give my back to those who strike and my cheek to those who pull out the beard. I hid not my face from disgrace of spitting, but Adonai Yahuwah helps me. I have a hope and expectancy. He helps me. Therefore, I have not been disgraced. Therefore, I have set my face like flint, and I know that I shall not be put to shame. He who vindicates me is near to me. Who will contend with me? Let us stand up together. Who is my adversary? Let him come to me. Behold, Adonai Yahuwah helps me. Who will declare me guilty? Behold, all of them will wear out like a garment. With the moth, the moth will eat them up. Among you fears Yahuwah. Who among you fears Yahuwah and obeys the voice of his servant? Let him who walks in darkness and has no light trust in the name of Yahuwah and rely on his allure. Okay. So that goes back to what we was reading in John chapter 3, where it's like people be in darkness. But then when the light comes, that's a judgment. What do you do when the light comes? Because now you're gonna have to give evidence of Amunah. Because when it was darkness, it's like, man, I believe in him, but what did you do? Was his works made manifest when his light came? Or did you shrink back because your works were evil? You didn't have no patience for nobody. You didn't have no long suffering, no love, no through judgments. You knew something was wrong and continued in it. Is that the stuff that's gonna be exposed when the light comes? Is that the type of amunah? Is it gonna be wicked fruit? Because Yahusha said, if a tree's fruit be through, then the tree be through. If its fruit be evil, then the tree is evil. Your belief system could say it's a through tree, but what kind of fruit is produced off of it? What can I touch from it? What's the amunah? What's the firmness on that tree? What's the firmness on the belief system? And that's what we got to ask ourselves, especially in this season, coming around to Abib, going into Pesach, trying to get our mind formed properly that we can come to Yahuwah and not be ashamed, okay? It's going to be based on what is produced from our belief system, our belief versus our amunah. Because it's a lot of us talking about we believe. And I'm not here trying to judge somebody saying that they don't believe or whatever. This is how Yahuwah's been dealing with me, making sure that my belief is in line with my amunah. And my amunah is in line with what I believe. What I believe is based on what I've taught, the words that I've received. My amunah is going to be based off of what I've done with those words. Okay. That's how the amunah is the substance of things not seen, the conviction of things that are hoped for. Amunah is substance. It's substance. It's going to something that is tangible, that you can see, that you can measure. Because without amunah, it's impossible to please the Lord. He's not receiving that amunah where that belief system where you just saying you get it. Like how I used to go to school not doing no homework. My teachers didn't receive that. Without amunah, it was impossible to please them, let alone Alua, who formed the universe by his word. Hallelujah. So that's about all for me. I'm gonna go ahead and shut down. It's 10:30 now, and I gotta be somewhere. So praise Yahusha for the Chief Malakim and for the work that Yahuwah is doing in this nation and rebirth, and all the things that he has coming up. You know, infinite honors to the Chiefs. And also, man, I want to give a shout out to my wife, Sarah the Yalada, Moreh Sarah. She is wonderful, and I'm glad that I have her to help me out, because her belief system and her amunah has been a great help to me. So I didn't mention her earlier, and I apologize for that. Crazy Husha, but yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop off of here and pray that everybody has a Thub Yom Rashon